Eliane, and today I want to talk to you about tacking your quilt. Tacking means tying, so you're tying all your layers together within your quilt. It's a great alternative to quilting with straight lines or even with free motion quilting. You can also use tacking as a way to bind different layers together when you're using a non-traditional fabric, such as a minky type fabric. So those types of fabrics tend to shift a lot on you, and so tacking is a great alternative to that. The first thing that you want to do is you want to start with a good base on your quilt. So I've basted all 3 layers. I've got my backing, my batting, and my quilt top. Next, we're going to want to mark how far apart we want to make our stitches. I'm using a chalk pencil to mark my dots. I've marked mine in a 3-inch grid. You really want to make sure that your batting can be sewn 3 inches apart or 4 inches apart or whatever distance that you want to make your tacking stitches. For our first tacking stitches, we're going to use a wide zigzag. So I'm going to place my zigzag width at a 6. I'm also going to bring the length of my stitch down to 0.5. I really want that stitch to be close together to make that nice little section of stitching. Place the red dot on your foot. I'm using just a regular foot. Because we're not quilting, we're not moving, we can get away with just using a regular foot on our machine, and I have my cotton quilting thread in my machine as well. So I'm going to place my dot that I've marked right in the center where it's going to hit the middle of my zigzag. I've moved forward a couple of stitches, and then I've moved back a couple of stitches, which then also helps to secure my thread together. Now all I have to do is cut my thread, and I've created a stitch. I'm going to go ahead and cut the little thread that's hanging off, and I have a beautiful tacking stitch. So for the next one, a couple of stitches forward, and then back stitch a couple of stitches over those original stitches. And there we are again. A great way that you can use tacking is to also play around with the decorative stitches on your machine. One of my favorites is to use the heart motif. If you have the ability to stop your machine after a single stitch, so for this machine I have a button that allows me to make a single heart, you'll want to make sure to press that button as well. If you don't, just make sure to stop the machine when it's completed its motif. Again, I'm going to put my dot right in the center of my foot, so it's going to mark the center of my stitch. I'm going to start stitching my heart, pressing my button so that it's going to stop after it completes a full decorative heart. And cutting my thread. I'll show that one more time. Placing that dot right in the center, I'm going to start stitching my heart, pressing my button so that it's going to stop after it completes its single heart for me. And cutting my thread. When you have little loose threads on top, you're always going to want to make sure you snip those off. And tacking is a really fun way to finish off your quilt that's a great alternative to tying it by hand.